Dale, come back up. No, I won't make Dale come back up, but it's always a pleasure. We look forward to it every time we know we're coming out this direction to be able to come and worship here at Market Street. And I was trying to do some Jethro Bodine mathematics and did some subtraction and found out this morning as I was thinking about it, it was 43 years ago that I was in the preacher training program here, and that's just mind-boggling to me, 43 years ago. We're living in Ocala, Florida now, and have been there for the last 16 years. Ocala is, in fact, today is the 16th anniversary of us moving to Ocala. Ocala is the horse capital of the world, in case you ever go down to Florida. Some people who live in Kentucky might argue that point, but it is regarded as the horse capital of the world. It's about 90 miles north of the Tampa area, and so some of you know the Tampa-Orlando corridor anyway, and that's where Ocala is located. We're blessed to be a part of a wonderful church and a wonderful church family there. It's been just a pleasure for us to be there, and but to come back, many of you know, most of you probably know that Darlene, she has moved back to Salem, and then she was here for a couple of days, then injured her back, went into the hospital for several days. Now Melissa and I came out to help move her back after rehab she went into, and now she's back at her place in South Salem at Hidden Lake, and we're trying to make a pathway through the boxes and all the things that are in her apartment right now to get her a little bit more settled. But it's always a pleasure to be here and to worship with you again. So let me shift gears. I'd rather take the attention off of me anyway and shift gears and talk about what is it that most people will say, or what do you most often say when somebody sees you and they say, "Hey, how are you?" You don't say anything? I say, "Fine, I'm fine," right? Isn't that what we say? Isn't that what we say? Yes. Oh, okay, good. All right. It's really neat. When I ask a question, you can respond back. Okay. So that is usually our response when somebody asks, "So how are you?" "I'm fine." And it doesn't matter what's going on in our life. We often just respond, "I'm fine." We're buried in debt, "I'm fine." Just lost my job, "I'm fine." We just got a horrible report from the doctor, a diagnosis that it's just earth-shattering to us. "Hey, how are you?" "I'm fine." Most often, we say this. In fact, one writer said it, "I'm fine" is the most often told lie in the United States. Most often when we say "I'm fine" or "everything's fine" or whatever, we're often denying our true feelings. We're often denying the real experiences that we're going through in life. Whether we're hoping to convince ourselves or we're trying to convince the other person, I'm not really sure. I guess it depends on the situation. But we're just trying to make it sound like everything's okay. Pretending, though, that we don't have any problems or any difficulty, any emotions, any conflicts going on. It's really just a facade that sometimes we put on, and I may even cautionary say that sometimes we as Christians do that, almost from the standpoint of we feel like we're less Christian if we admit that we're having difficulties, if we admit that we're having trials or conflict or challenges in our life. So what I want you to know today, and this is what if you get nothing else out of this lesson today, here's what I want you to be able to leave with, and for you to know it's okay not to be okay. It is okay for you not to be okay. I want you to listen to the lyrics of this song by Casting Crowns. It came out a number of years ago. It's called Stained Glass Masquerade. It says, "Is there anyone that fails? Is there anyone that falls? Am I the only one in church today feeling so small? Because when I take a look around, everybody seems so strong. I know they'll soon discover that I don't belong. So I tuck it all away like everything's okay. If I make them all believe it, maybe I'll believe it too. So with a painted grin, I play the part again so everyone will see me the way that I see them. And then the chorus is, are we happy plastic people under shiny plastic steeples with walls around our weakness, the smiles to hide our pain? But if the invitation's open to every heart that's been broken, maybe then we'll close the curtain on this stained glass masquerade. The second verse says, is there anyone who's been there? Are there any hands who raise? Am I the only one who's traded in an altar for a stage? The performance is convincing, and we know every line by heart. Only when no one is watching can we really fall apart. Or would it set me free if I dared to let you see the truth behind the person that you imagine me to be? Or would your arms be open, or would you walk away? Or would the love of Jesus be enough to make you stay? Are we happy plastic people under shiny plastic steeples with walls around our weakness, the smiles to hide our pain? But if the invitation's open to every heart that's been broken, maybe then we'll close the curtain on the stained glass masquerade. You know, these lyrics speak to the heart of the matter of this concept of it is okay not to be okay. When we make the impression that everything is okay in our life when it's not okay in our life, we'll talk about some of those principles in just a few minutes, but I want you to know that first of all, at one level, there's just a dishonesty about it. But at another level, it is an effort of me to either keep you out of my life or out of helping me and keeping some kind of distance if I do that. But I want to invite you to look at some passages with me. Open up to the book of Job, chapter 3 this morning. Job chapter 3. Chris and I had the blessing and benefit of being able to sit in the same college class, even though I'm at least a year or two older than Chris. In chapter 3, and it was on the book of Job that we sat together. Job chapter 3 verse 1, afterward Job opened his mouth and he cursed the day of his birth. Now if you know the book of Job already, that just the setting of this stage is Job has been devastated by life and devastated by these challenges that have fallen on him, all brought on by the Satan. And here is Job having experienced this, and now his three friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, they come and they surround Job. And Job cries out. He opens his mouth. He curses the day of his birth. And Job said, may the day on which I was born perish, as well as the night which was said that a boy is conceived. May the day be darkness. May God above not care for it, nor light shine on it. May darkness and black gloom claim it. May a cloud settle on it. May the blackness of the day terrify it. As for that night, may the darkness seize it, and may it not rejoice among the days of the year. May it not come into the number of the months. Behold, may that night be barren. Make no joyful shout to enter it. May those curse it who curse the day, who are prepared to disturb Leviathan. May the stars of its twilight be darkened. May it wait for light, but have none. And may it not see the breaking dawn, because it did not shut the opening of my mother's womb or hide trouble from my eyes. Job said, I have had a horrible life at this point, at this moment. And it would be better off if God would just scratch off or mark off March the 21st, which is my birthday. If he'd just scratch that day off, the day that I was born, it'd be better if it never ever happened. And I wouldn't have seen all these troubles. But what I want to suggest to you is Job apparently did not get the memo that when he is asked, how are you, he should have said, I'm fine. He said, it's horrible. Everything about this day and everything about my life at this moment is horrible. It's a gut-wrenching kind of feeling that he has. Look in the book of Jeremiah. Turn there to chapter 20. Jeremiah the prophet. We'll drop down to verse 14 of this text. Cursed be the day when I was born, Jeremiah says. May the day when my mother gave birth to me not even be blessed. Cursed be the man who brought the news to my father, saying, a boy has been born to you, and made him very happy. But may the man be like the cities which the Lord overthrew without relenting. And may he hear an outcry in the morning, an alarm for war at noon, because he did not kill me before birth, so that my mother would have been my grave, and the womb forever pregnant. Why did I ever come out of the womb to look at the trouble and sorrow, so that my days have been spent in shame? Jeremiah, didn't you get the memo? You're supposed to say, when life faces you, gives you all these troubles and trials and problems, how are you, Jeremiah? I'm fine. Jeremiah says it's just been tremendously difficult and horrible. In the context of what he's talking about in chapter 20, it's preaching and teaching. I go out and I preach and they just make fun of me, which is not necessarily all that bad, but they're making fun of you, God, is what Jeremiah is crying out about. And all of the trouble and all of the problems. He in fact, in a sense, blames God for some of these problems and trials. But apparently he didn't get the memo. Now I want you to turn to the New Testament book of Matthew, chapter 26. Matthew 26, beginning at verse 36. Jesus came with them to a place called Gethsemane. And he told his disciples, sit here while I go over there and pray. And he took Peter and the two sons of Zebedee with him, and he began to be grieved and distressed. And he said to them, I'm fine, but I want you all to pray for me. He didn't say that. He said, my soul is deeply grieved to the point of death. Remain here and keep watch with me. Jesus didn't just say, I'm fine. Everything's okay. He didn't pretend. He didn't try to crowd others out. He didn't push them away. He didn't distance himself. He said, I am so grieved to the point of death. I want you to stay here, watch with me, and pray with me, because I need your help. So why do we say we're fine? Why do we say I'm fine when I'm asked when I'm not fine? Is it because I just want the person to quit asking me? Well, sometimes that is the case. Maybe it's because I don't want to take the time to have to try to explain what I'm going through in the situation. So just rather than to go through all of that effort and all of that motion and all of that, I'm fine. Or maybe I take a higher road than that and I say, well, I don't want to burden them with my problems. And because I'm going through this, I know they have challenges and troubles. So how are you, Jody? I'm fine. I don't want to burden you. Or maybe it is that maybe I don't want to become vulnerable enough to open up to you. Because if you knew what was inside, if you knew some of the challenges that I faced, then you might not like me. You might not want to associate with me. You might not want to have anything to do with me if you knew what I was dealing with. Or maybe it's because I'm embarrassed. But what I think sometimes happens is I think we say we're fine because we feel like we'd be less Christian if we say something else. That if I admit that I'm struggling with sin, or I'm struggling with this news that I just got, or I'm struggling with this challenge at my job that I'm going through, that maybe in some way that's going to show to you that I'm less of a Christian. I'm not as strong as I should be. And in some way it makes me less spiritual. And sometimes I think we just get it completely mistaken in our own mind. And I think sometimes we say I'm fine because, well, we say I'm fine because we think there's some kind of special honor in suffering in silence. I'm going through this, but I can handle it. I'm going through this, and I can tough it out, and I'll show how good I am, how strong I am, how faithful I am by doing this. And in some way, I feel like I get some kind of almost honor or badge as a result of that. Here's what I want to suggest to you today. I want to leave you to just 3 simple practical points to get from this today. The first thing is we need to understand that we all face troubles. We all have problems. We all face challenges and trials, and we need to quit acting like we don't have troubles and challenges. We need to realize that God's people have problems. Turn with me to the book of Psalms. We're going to go to Psalm 25. Now, those of you who are Bible students, you may already know David was a person who, very good and godly man in so many ways, and wrote so many wonderful things that plumb the depths of our emotions in the book of Psalms. But David certainly didn't live on easy street. In Psalm 25, David is the author of this psalm. Drop down to verse 16 with me. Turn to me, David says, and be gracious to me, for I'm lonely and afflicted. The troubles of my heart are enlarged. Bring me out of my distresses. Look at my misery and my trouble, and forgive all of my sins. Look at my enemies, for they are many, and they hate me with a violent hatred. Guard my soul and save me. Do not let me be ashamed, for I take refuge in you. Let integrity and uprightness protect me, for I wait for you. Redeem Israel, O God, from all of its distresses. David said, I'm going through a lot of problems. I've got enemies on this side. I feel lonely. I feel afflicted. I've got this challenge and this problem and this trial and this that I'm facing. And here's David, King David, a man especially handpicked and chosen by God. And David's facing trials. Turn to Psalm 42. In the 42nd Psalm, the sons of Korah are the authors of this psalm. Verse 1, as a deer pants for the water brook, so my soul pants for you, God. My soul thirsts for God, for the living God. When shall I come and appear before my God? But look at verse 3. My tears have been my food day and night. While they say unto me, where is your God? So here are the sons of Korah who said, I face this tearful challenge. I'm overwhelmed by it. The sons of Korah, the authors of Psalms, having troubles? Yeah, they had troubles too. And then turn to Psalm 88. One man stands out as a beacon of challenges and problems. Verse 1, this is written by a man by the name of Heman. Lord, the God of my salvation, I have cried out to you by day and in the night before you. Let my prayer come before you. Incline your ear to hear my cry. Well, why? What is it you're going through? For my soul has had enough troubles, and my life has approached Sheol. I'm counted among those who go down to the pit. I've become like a man without strength, abandoned among the dead, like the slain who lie in the grave. whom you no longer remember, and they're cut off from your hand. You've put me in the lowest pit, in dark places, in the depths. Your wrath has rested upon me, and you've afflicted me with all of your waves. You have removed my acquaintances far from me. You have made me an object of loathing to them. I am shut up, and I cannot go out. My eye grows dim from misery. I've called upon you every day, Lord. I've spread my hands out to you. You hear what he said? I'm having a lot of trouble here. I'm facing problems and challenges and trials and difficulties. Verse 10, will you perform wonders for the dead? Or will the departed spirits rise and praise you? Will your graciousness be declared in the grave? You see, he thinks he's going to die. It's so bad. Your faithfulness in a battle. Will your wonders be made known in the darkness, and your righteousness in the land of forgetfulness? But I, Lord, have cried out to you for help. And in the morning my prayer comes before you. Lord, why do you reject my soul? Why do you hide your face from me? I was miserable and about to die from my youth on. I suffer your terrors. I grow weary. Your burning anger has passed over me. Your terrors have destroyed me. They have surrounded me like water all day long. They have encircled me altogether. You've removed lover and friend far from me, and my acquaintances are in a hiding place. Even godly people suffer problems. Even those who are the people of God face challenges. And so we need to stop acting as if we don't have problems in our life. You see, I'm really not okay when I feel the pain of barrenness. And I'm really not okay when there is that emptiness, when a spouse slips into dementia. I'm really not okay. Because there's a heartache when a child walks away from the Lord. And I'm really not okay because of the diagnosis I just received from the doctor. Or I'm really not okay because of this inner turmoil that I have because the phone hasn't rung. Or the abject loneliness that one feels when a spouse dies. Or the anguish that a parent feels when his teenage daughter comes home from a date with a tear-stained face. Or the hundreds and hundreds of other things that affect us in life. You see, it's okay to not be okay. And to admit that we're having challenges or troubles. And so the second point I want to leave you with is just to say, don't suffer in silence. Don't just try to be tough, be strong. Those are things that are great to try to do, but don't just try to handle that all by yourself. We've already noted, even including Jesus, the great heroes of faith admitted that they had challenges and problems and were lonely or depressed or sad or empty or fearful because of what was going on around them. And there is no badge of honor that's given out when we suffer in silence. It's not less Christian to suffer or experience pain or loneliness or anxiety or depression. You know, I think, this is my judgment here, but I think for too long, many Christians have just ignored the problems of mental health within and among brethren. In some situations, sadly, they've even made fun of it or made less of a Christian who says that they suffer with some kind of an ailment in that regard. You maybe have heard the phrase, oh, I'm too blessed to be stressed. Well, that's ridiculous. We're all blessed beyond measure. We're all blessed in such an amazing way. I appreciate the words, and I was really struck this morning during the Lord's Supper when just one sentence that was said that just absolutely struck me when he said, what would the difference be if somebody had walked by and said, thank you. We are so blessed. We are amazingly blessed. But we do face challenges, and we do face struggles, and we do face trials and challenges. So rather than just this idea that I live in some land, that I'm so blessed, I don't have any reason to have any problems at all in life, and we just kind of float through this world, that's not real. That doesn't happen like that. And so I want you to notice this passage with me. Turn to the book of 2 Corinthians, one of the most unread books probably in the New Testament. 2 Corinthians, we're going to go to the first chapter. We've got to at least get this far in the book if we're going to read. 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 3, blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of all mercies and the God of all comfort, who comforts us in all of our affliction, so that we will be able to comfort those who are in any affliction with the comfort with which we ourselves have been comforted. I want you to know that it is a biblical mandate for us to help one another. And so if you suffer in silence, and I don't know how to help you. I don't know if I can help you. And if every time that we greet one another or we see one another and the answer is, how are you doing? I'm fine. That robs me of an opportunity to do what God has commanded me to do, to try to help you or the person sitting next to you or in the row behind you. We're biblically mandated. I can't do it if we're silent. We can't do it. Third thing I want you to know, and that is just simply we need to tell the truth. We need to be truthful with ourselves, first of all. I want you to look back in the passage, back in the Old Testament, 1 Samuel. I think that this always strikes me, 1 Samuel chapter 15. There is kind of a comic aspect about this as well as such a sadness. In chapter 15 of 1 Samuel, you may recognize this passage of when God had told Saul to go out and utterly destroy the Amalekites. God had told them to completely destroy them. Look at verse 3. Now go and strike Amalek and completely destroy everything that he has. Do not spare him, but put to death both man and woman, child and infant, ox and sheep, camel and donkey. Now I'm not going to try. I'll leave Chris to explain all of the whys and wherefores behind that for you. But I want you to notice that God said completely eradicate, completely destroy man, woman, child, baby, animal. You completely wipe out the Amalekites. And now drop to verse 12. Samuel the prophet is sent to him, and Samuel got up early in the morning, go out to meet Saul, and it was reported to Samuel, saying, Saul has come to Carmel, and behold, he set up a monument for himself, and he turned, I'm reading, okay. Page blew over here. Verse 16, or 13. So Samuel came to Saul, and said unto him, Blessed are you of the Lord. I have carried out the commands of the Lord. What? You did what? Saul had told him, I want you to go out. God wants you to go out, completely destroy Amalek, man, woman, child, infant, and beast. So Saul says, hey, Samuel, blessed are you. I have carried out the commandment of the Lord. So if we stopped right there, you would know that Saul did what? He killed man, woman, beast, infant, child, and every animal of Amalek, right? He said, I did what I was told to do. Samuel says unto him, What then is this bleating of the sheep in my ears, and the bellowing of the oxen which I hear? It's almost a comical picture of Samuel walking among the animals trying to get over to Saul, and Saul says, I've done exactly what I was told to do. And Samuel says, what is it with all these animals? What's with the bleating of the sheep and the lowing of the oxen? Oh, there's a reason for that. Saul said, they have brought them from the Amalekites, for the people spared the best of the sheep, the oxen, to sacrifice to the Lord your God, but the rest we have completely destroyed. I want you to know that we have to begin, first of all, being honest with ourselves. When somebody asks us, how are you, and you're going through devastation and challenges and trials, everything's fine? I'm fine. I did what the Lord commanded is exactly what Saul says. You see, Saul knew that he had not fulfilled the word of God. Saul then, secondly, blames the others for the lack of it, and Saul covers over the truth. First of all, we need to be truthful with ourselves. Secondly, I want to tell you that we need to be truthful to God. Psalm 139. I think our prayers are probably very sterile, often very sterile and clinical. You read the book of Psalms and you find they're gut-wrenchingly open and honest. Psalm 139, Lord, you have searched me and you know me. You have seen my sitting down when I get up. You understand my thoughts from far away. You scrutinize my path and my lying down. And you are acquainted with all my ways. Even before there is a word on my tongue, behold, Lord, you already know it. You see, we're only fooling ourselves if we think we're fooling God. And so I need to be honest with God. I'm wasting my time and my energy and my breath to try to do otherwise. And thirdly, we need to be truthful with others. Ephesians chapter 4 and verse 25. Ephesians chapter 4 and verse 25 tells us that we are to speak the truth with one another. So I hate to do this, but I want to say, and I need to put a cautionary statement here. I am not suggesting that you spill your guts to everybody who asks you when devastation comes. You can answer truthfully without having to make them a confessor. But having a friend or two, or brethren in the church, or the elders who make up this congregation and say, I'm really having a hard time. Would you help me with this? What would you suggest in this? Would you pray for me? How would you? And you come to them and speak with them and confide in them. Somebody who is wise, somebody who is godly, somebody who can give you hopefully successful answers to navigate through life. So what I'm saying is, it's okay. It's okay not to be okay. And so I think we need to quit pretending if that's what we've been doing. And we need to build true koinonia within the congregation here at Market Street. Koinonia is the Greek word for fellowship or community and association, joint participation. It's that idea of building this family bond within the group. And the way that we do that is, one of the ways that we do that is by our honesty of working with and being together with one another. I love this church. Melissa loves this church. And we'd love to help in any way that we possibly can. So let me ask you, how are you? Oh, somebody's fine. I heard that. Okay? Some of them are fine. So I'm not saying that you have to make it up either. Okay? That's another aspect that we need to understand in this. If everything's fine, it's okay to be fine. But when it's not, I need to be real. And I need to be honest. And I want to assure you that there are people here who will help you and stand beside you. Thank you so much for your listening today. Thank you so much for being here today as we worship God together.